Okay, so here's the dirty thing about the U.S. Civil War, is that the U.S. Civil War wasn't even a civil war for America. It was a second English Civil War. Because if you look at the lines that were drawn here in the United States, they mirrored the lines that were drawn in England back in like what, the 1600s or whatever the fuck, when that Civil War happened.
Yeah.
It was basically a fucking mirror of the two. So, what you end up having, and you learn this by actually doing fucking research into it, the same way, by the way, Churchill wasn't a good guy by any fucking metric,
No.
and actually caused the Great Depression. Nobody wants to talk about that because Churchill's such a great guy, blah, 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 blah. He fought Hitler, blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. Anyways. So, what you end up fucking having is that the English and the French, they are primarily getting the majority, and we're talking the majority, we're talking 2/3, 3/4 of their fucking raw material input into their economies from the southern United States. It is a massive amount of shit that the southern states are selling to the English and British. Now, what ends up happening is that the U.S. government is sitting there like, hey, they are making a shit ton, they are making a shit ton of money down there. We want a piece of that because the government does have the constitutional, this is something that they don't want to talk about, has the constitutional right to levy tariffs. Tariffs are the only thing that the government was constitutionally allowed to fucking levy taxes on, by the way. I would like to remind everybody, they had to implement the 16th Amendment in order to put income tax into the Constitution.
Boo.
Yeah. And then the 17th Amendment, that also fucked everything.
Yes.
I wonder why those two amendments happened at the same time. Weird. If you don't remember, 17th Amendment is it turned senators into being elected by the people rather than being appointed by the state legislatures.
Right.
Most people, they're like, oh, but isn't that a good thing? And it's like, actually, no, it fucked us completely, because now, if you have a shitty senator, your state legislature can't recall them.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways.
Mitt Romney.
Yeah. Anyways, so getting back to my point. So the southern states are like, okay, cool. We don't want you to put tariffs on shit because then we're going to sell less, and we're selling everything right now. It was a fucking economic fucking frenzy for the southern states at that point in time, and they really fucking needed it. Well, then the north starts industrializing. And the south then is like, oh wait, we can sell stuff to the northern states and also make money and be perfectly cool. So they start diverting some of their product northward. Well, the English and the French don't fucking like this because they want to be the economic dominant powers in the world. And so they get together with with different contacts in the south, basically trying to gin up a rebellion to try to get people to side with them against the Union. Now, then you have the whole abolitionist movement, which, if you are a proper individual, you're an emancipator, and there's a big difference between an emancipator and an abolitionist, because the majority of the abolitionist movement was funded by the fucking English. The majority of it.
So what is the difference between an emancipator and an abolitionist?
Okay, so the easiest way I can describe it is an emancipators okay, let's start with abolitionists because they're easier. Abolitionists are like, no, we must ban slavery now.
Right.
The emancipators are like, let's ban it over the course of like 10 years.
Right.
Let's slow roll it so that nobody gets screwed, and that way we're able to adjust, be able to, integrate this population that all of a sudden isn't going to have anything once they're free. We got to integrate them into the whole network of the country, and we got to make sure that they're all good. The abolitionists are like, no, you must ban it now. Whiny little fucking children. John Brown was not a good individual by any metric whatsoever. I hate his guts.
Correct.
He was a murdering psychopath.
Interestingly enough, what you described as the emancipators, that was actually, I believe, the actual position that Ben Franklin had with regards to slavery. That it should end,
Yeah.
but just ending it right now is going to lead to a whole lot of chaos.
Love you too, Keck. She just called us nerds.
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's the point, though, is that the emancipators were the norm. They had the idea of this is why, over the course of so many years, the northern states had steadily gotten rid of slavery, and the southern states, because their economy relied so much on cheap labor, they needed that cheap labor in order to run their economies. Because again, the North was industrialized, the South was agricultural.
Right.
Now, here's the thing, is that in order to get that fucking process going properly, you needed the introduction of the new technologies. Like, for example, the cotton gin. A lot of people don't realize that had the cotton gin actually, like, if I were the Union, by the way, you know, I'd like to go back in time and beat the shit out of Abraham Lincoln and fucking cripple him or something. Basically create the situation where he still exists, so I don't completely hork the timeline, but cripple him beyond the point where he can't run for office. Anyways, point. Yeah, you can tell I'm really, like, I'm a northerner and I have a very, very harsh fucking view on this shit.
Yes.
Born and raised in Ohio, ladies and gentlemen. Get fucked. Anyways, so the fact of the matter is that had they actually fucking done what they should have done, which is like, oh, hey, we want to get rid of slavery. Let's go ahead and introduce the technologies that would actually allow these farms and these industries down south to be more efficient so that we can integrate the technologies, free some people, integrate the technologies, free some more people, so on and so forth. Just slow roll it. It's all you had to fucking do. But instead, because the English are a bunch of fucking cocksuckers, they decided, oh, hey, we're gonna fund these groups. It's really ironic. Like you see the modern day examples of this all over the place, by the way. They fund these groups and then proceed to use those groups as a means to then push this idea of the abolitionist movement, which then ends up creating the chaos that everybody attributes to being the reason for the U.S. Civil War. Well, it wasn't. It was economics. Slavery was part of the economics. It's just everybody just wants to get hung up on slavery. And it's like, well, no. That's not the full picture. You're a child if that's the only thing you're going to fucking focus on. And then, again, the English and the French, they are fully supporting the South while also creating the chaos. And then when the southern states secede, the whole situation was kind of weird. Because in effect, a lot of people, the history claims that the Confederates were the first ones to fire on Fort Sumter. Here's the problem, is that nobody actually knows who, quote unquote, fired the first shot. If you read letters and read actual accounts of the day, there's a lot of information that suggests it was an internal magazine explosion of some kind in the fort. And mind you, it doesn't matter at that point in time because you've already gotten to the point of pointing guns at each other. It just takes one spark to fucking kick it off. I'll reference the Spanish-American War. Now, so the war kicks off, things are happening, so on and so forth, and then the English and the French are supplying weapons, munitions, and a bunch of different stuff to the South because their plan is get the South to be able to secede from the Union and then be able to utilize their natural resources as a means to bolster their economies. Oh, wait. What was it that I was talking about the other day with Ukraine and Europe? And who are the main perpetrators of the support from Europe for? Oh, fuck.
History doesn't repeat, but it sure rhymes.
No, it does repeat because these motherfuckers use the same playbook every fucking time. And that's the point, is that you look at the situation with Ukraine, nowadays, you realize it's the same fucking shit. So, you just have this, there's this onerous level of bullshit, and mind you, it was to the benefit of the United States that the Confederacy lost. We would not exist as a country today had the Confederacy won. But here's the problem, is that the motherfucker who was responsible for that victory, Abraham Lincoln, was a tyrannical piece of shit.
Correct.
Just like his mentor, Henry Clay. And now, if you don't know anything about Henry Clay, this motherfucker, one of the worst individuals in history, honestly speaking. His nephew, Cassius Clay, I can kinda get behind.
Not the boxer, by the way.
Yeah, well, and Cassius Clay, he was an abolitionist, and I would have not agreed with him whatsoever on that subject. And honestly speaking, his willingness to resort to violence for no other good reason other than I'm right and you're wrong is like, okay, Antifa, got it. But it is what it is. I will give him credit, though. He is the reason why our greatest ally ever, not the Israelis, not the British, our greatest ally ever stepped in to assist us by threatening the British and the French if they decided to declare war on the Union. Oh, who was that, ladies and gentlemen? The fucking Russian Empire. Our oldest friend. And no, I'm sorry, Morocco, you don't count. I love you, but you don't count. You're not a military power.
No.
If you don't know, the longest standing alliance that the United States has is the treaty that we signed with Morocco.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, back during the Barbary War period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get started on this bullshit. So I want to talk about Reznik. Me and Mitch, we've been making jokes back and forth. Mitch has fully adopted they just need their faces nutted on again. Mitch, you're the dirty old man, and I love you.
Yeah, in case anybody's wondering, the English translation of Orezhnik, what the Russians call a missile, is hazelnut.
Or hazel is.
Yeah.
But it's reference to the hazelnut or hazelnut tree because of the design of the missile. The payload kinda mimics a hazelnut cluster. But yeah, so the strike on the rocket factory in Dnipropetrovsk. Yes, I will call it by its Russian name. Go suck my dick, Yukis.
Ostrovia, comrade.
Vestovia. Anyways. Ooh, you're just a Russian bot. Okay, cool.
Isn't it funny how, like, because you guys are Americans, I'm Canadian, we've got, like, some East Indians and, like, South, or, like, whatever, Indonesians in here, too? How we don't have that weird indoctrinative programming just to fucking hate people that the one-eyed monster in the living room says to hate.
Yeah.
I really value that. Like, a lot.
Oh no, this is a great group chat. Great group chat.
Agreed.
They'll try to use this. Merrick Garland would love to use this at our trials.
Yes.
Anyways.
He's only got 50 days.
So anyways, so what you end up having is that the situation with this missile is profound. Mind you, this is the first introduction of a IBM or intermediate ballistic missile that has been used in fucking ages. The last time these were in full-scale adoption was back in the 80s. This actually almost resulted... this almost resulted in a tripwire event in 1983 with Able Archer. If you guys are not aware of what Able Archer is, It's a command force readiness exercise, where the commanders, not the units of the nuclear forces, but the commanders of the nuclear forces get together and they basically run a drill in the command center. Well, the Russians, because they're listening to radio traffic and all that, they thought they were getting ready to launch. And the Russians were like, oh shit, are we about to do this? And it was only because of basically a final minute decision to be like, okay, we're not seeing any forces being mustered on the front. We're not seeing any of their nuclear forces actually maneuvering on the field. It might be safe. This might just be like a command drill or something like that. And it was just a last minute because the fucking Soviets were ready to fuck on us. Like, to be frank, ladies and gentlemen, Europe was literally seconds from having nukes launched at it and the Soviets rushing the fucking DMZ. Like, that's how fucking close everybody came to in Able Archer 83. Which, by the way, my grandfather was there for that. He was actually in Germany at the time, positioned with his guys on the line, doing patrols, and they saw the Soviet units kind of maneuvering, and they were like, huh, that's interesting. What's going on over there? So, but the point is that the first IBM to be deployed since the 80s and used in actual combat. Like, this is the first time in combat that an IBM has been used in combat.
So what is the actual, besides anything symbolic, what is the actual, like, what's the point of, what is the actual effect of now using IBMs as opposed to just regular, like, artillery? Like, is it just a larger payload or what?
It's the payload, and the fact and it's not just the payload, because the potential payload is the big deal about ballistic missiles, because you can put nukes on them,
right.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
But the other thing about it is in the case of Orezhnik, the final descent of the missile reached just above Mach 10. The warheads, now mind you, these were solid state warheads, referred to as kinetic penetrators.
Basically a solid chunk of metal.
Yeah, these kinetic penetrators reach speeds of Mach 13. Or as I like to refer to anything past Mach 10 as Mach fuck. And the thing is that there's no intercepting. There's no preventing it from hitting the target. It is bend over, kiss your ass goodbye, and hope you survive. Now, the big thing that was about this strike in particular, though, was the fact that they were hitting this rocket factory. And mind you, when you have 36 kinetic penetrators coming down over it was about a like 1.5 2 square mile area. This factory, quite a large factory, but these kinetic penetrators fucking came down like a ton of bricks on this thing. And the estimation initially, apparently, was that the kinetic penetrators would reach about 50 meters. They finally found one of them, and in reality, it reached about 200 meters. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So does that mean there wasn't actually any explosive on these? It was just essentially it was just a mini rod from God.
Yes.
Yes.
Kinetic force, and the estimate was, what I've seen people did the calculations, if each one of those 36 basically penetrators weighed 100 kilograms at the speed they're moving, the total amount of kinetic force delivered to that target was over 10 kilotons. That's the size of the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima.
Yeah.
They found a way to deliver nuclear level devastation with a conventional warhead without the radiation, the fallout, the nuclear winter, or any of the awful side effects of a nuclear weapon.
So if we can reach speeds like that by just dropping them from a from a descent from a missile, why can't we just drop tungsten rods from people on space on people from space?
Because the atmosphere says fuck you.
But wouldn't the same thing happen with the descent from a missile?
No, because you're still within the atmosphere.
Oh, so it's
and
getting into the atmosphere that fucks with it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically the final stage is also probably was like something like scramjet powered, to where it could maintain that velocity until they started coming down on the final trajectory to hit that target.
And I this is another thing to point out about Oreznik, is that Oreznik generates a plasma trail, a quite massive plasma trail. Like, I've seen the video, Mitch. I suspect you've seen the video of the fucker flying through the air.
Yeah.
The thing is fucking massive, and what's distinct and impressive about that is you really can't target it while it's in flight, because that plasma trail literally destroys. Like, you would literally need to slap the bitch with a nuclear weapon.
Is that why it was so bright when coming down?
Yes, 'cause that
Oh yeah.
fire plasma, each one of those white plumes you saw coming down, plasma trail surrounding 6 of those warheads.
Yep.
Is that just because it was going so fast? It was like superheating the air.
It
Yeah.
was basically ionizing the air.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's terrifying, because, like, I understand the science. Like, a bunch of these commentators and a bunch of these talking heads are gonna be sitting there like, oh, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, no, that's terrifying. Because these things could be, like, let me put it to you this way. So, I forget the name of the missile off the top of my head. Mitch, you might remember it, but the nuclear-armed missile that they designed to shoot down massive bomber formations, because, you know, intercontinental ballistic missiles hadn't been developed at that point in time.
Nike Hercules.
Huh?
There was a couple of them that they designed in the 50s and actually partially deployed them. One was the Nike Hercules, and the other one was called Bomark,
Okay.
or Bomark.
But so that was the deterrent at the time. Was, okay, we see your massive bomber formation, we bring a B-52 in, fire this big ol' fucking missile that has a nuclear fucking warhead, and we just detonate the nuclear warhead in an airburst to take out the formation. Because, again, you had to drop bombs back in that day. You couldn't fire missiles because the ICBMs hadn't been developed yet.
Well, they actually did deploy, like, the Nike Hercules and the Bomark systems.
Yes.
It was surface to air with nuke warheads on them.
No, it was air to air. It was launched. It was launched out of a B-52.
I think you're talking about a different system right there, because the Army did have
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
ground-based surface to air Nike Hercules and
Okay.
Air
Yeah.
Force were
Okay.
going
Cool. But the one I'm thinking of specifically, it's an air-to-air one.
That's like the Genie, I think it was.
Oh
called.
yeah, the genie. Thank you. But yeah, but the point being is that in order to shoot down the Oreznik, you would have to use a genie. Because you would have to put a shockwave, a literal wall of fucking air pressure in front of the bitch just to disrupt it. Because you're not hitting it with a missile. You're just not, because that plasma trail was fucking ridiculous. And again, dealing with the plasma trails coming off of the warheads when they were coming down in their final descent, the damage that plasma trail would create, dude, nobody fucking survived in that factory.
So why is it that you
Nobody.
can't? What is it about the plasma trail that means a missile can't stop it?
Because the ionization of the air, because of the plasma, you're ionizing the air, it disrupts any sort of, like, guidance or infrared.
Any kind of electronics. Imagine plasma dispersion is like super EMF, like intense EMF.
So actually, real quick, I'll reference this. Have you ever played a game where plasma weaponry was a thing, and it would kind of do that thing where it would like it would like kind of flicker your HUD and shit?
Yes.
Okay, that's why. Because plasma, when it disperses, it ionizes the air, and the EF waves just disrupt any electronics.
I see.
It's the same fucking thing.
Natural radar jamming.
Yep. And what's even more terrifying, hey Stoner, mute your mic. We got some air coming off your mic right now.
We're recording right now.
Sorry. I just
No,
got
you're-
getting off work.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. But that is a scary concept. Like, there's literally no way to defend against this shit because
You could kind of tell where it's going to drop though if you took that radar or whatever and you inverted it to see where there were
Oh
dead
yeah.
spots.
Oh yeah. No, you could. Okay, yeah. You could do that.
But no, that'll just kind of let you know where it's going. That's not gonna stop
yeah.
anything.
Oh, yeah. But so here's the cool part. Now, if you guys don't understand why Orezhnik is equipped with, and they designed it to be equipped with kinetic penetrators. Now they do have a special kinetic penetrator that's loaded with thermite. Like, that's terrifying, and it's like, oh my god, and supposedly they have a thermobaric version of it, and it's like, oh god. Like, fuck.
What exactly
And the
does?
kicker is, that thing has a range of like upwards of 3,000 miles.
Dang. So what exactly does thermobaric
3,000
mean?
kilometers, excuse me. Yeah.
Oh.
What is what?
What does thermobaric mean exactly?
Fuel air bomb.
Oh.
Hold on.
It's like a super shockwave, like you detonate above the ground, and it's like not a nuke per se, but it's a very large percussive
So-
heat exothermic
So
reaction.
it's
Yeah.
the shockwave that does most of the damage.
So, well, no.
The shockwave falls on the fireball and the implosion.
Well, no. So what it does is it draws all the air in, and then lights the air on fire, and then expands it. All within an instant, basically.
Right.
Yeah,
And
if you're
so-
within 100 meters of that, it'll suck the air out of your lungs and collapse your chest. Like, get fucked.
Yeah.
Oh no! If you're within 100, within 100 meters, your lungs are catching on fire.
Yeah, but when it does its
Like
initial
three-
explosion that
like
causes an
three-
implosion, it'll suck the wind from you. Like,
Oh yeah, no. That's what you're gonna feel for a split second until it literally lights your lungs on fire. But no, like, you have to be something like 300 or 400 meters away from a thermobaric, like a large thermobaric, like the TOS one or whatever. You need to be like 300 meters away in order to be safe. Like,
and then you're gonna want Firewatch because good luck.
yeah. But getting back to Orezhnik, the thing with Orezhnik on this is the fact that they have chosen these types of munitions for this weapon specifically tells you exactly what the Russians think and that they are dedicated to it. Because here's the thing. You guys know depleted uranium, right?
Right.
All right, so depleted uranium is a big fucking problem. Iraq and Afghanistan are feeling the brunt of it. Serbia and the Balkans as a whole kind of feel the brunt of it. Not nearly as intensely. But Iraq and Afghanistan are the perfect examples of it. Yemen's got problems because we gave a bunch of depleted uranium shit to the Saudis, and so on and so forth. So depleted uranium, big fucking problem because, again, you're causing fucking cancers, you're causing birth defects in babies, you're causing fucking miscarriages in women, so on and so forth. You're just causing a huge number of fucking health problems.
Salting the earth.
Contaminating fucking water sources, yeah, and yes, salting the earth. As I like to say, salt their souls, or salt the earth and salt their souls. But the fact of the matter is that the Russians, I believe it was 2012 or something like that, they elected to get rid of depleted uranium from their arsenals. They were like, okay, you know what? We're seeing the cause and effect of this shit. We don't like it. We don't like it at all. This shit is dirty. It's not worth it's not worth the cheapness of the material. Because, by the way, depleted uranium is literally depleted uranium that you get from nuclear reactors. Oh, by the way, the Russians have a lot of nuclear reactors, by the way.
Yep.
And so it's a very cheap material to use. That's why we use it here in the States, is because it's very cheap, it's a byproduct, and it does its job very well. The problem is that the Russians are like, no, this shit's dirty, and we don't want to use this on a human population. Like, this is not good. This is not good whatsoever.
Something, the Geneva Convention, something.
No, not even that. They didn't even cite the Geneva Convention in the argument. They were just like, no, the environmental impacts are just too great. Like, we cannot be. And mind you, this is the country that has the trauma of fucking Chernobyl on its mind. Go figure.
Yeah.
So, what you end up having is they got rid of depleted uranium within their arsenals. And they're not very keen on using nuclear weapons. Well, now they have a weapon that is as devastating as a nuclear weapon, but it doesn't have the fallout. It doesn't have the after effects of a nuclear weapon. And international convention does not prevent them from using it. So, yeah. Expect the Russians to get really, really good with these things. Which, they already seem to be pretty fucking good with them, seeing how they literally obliterated a facility that was designed to survive nuclear weapons.
It was?
Yeah, so if you don't know anything about the Soviet Union era industrial base, all of the factories have these massive underground workings that are specifically meant to be able to move the factory underground. So literally they can bunker up the factory and the factory can continue producing stuff even if the factory eats a direct nuke.
Yep, Russia is unbelievably based. They also, Russia and it's like Norwegian or Norway or Sweden or something like that has two of the only seed vaults on Earth. Like they made these massive underground dumbs, like deep underground military bases, specifically to hold seeds and certain DNA and stuff like that. So in case of nuclear war.
There's another one of those.
Yeah, but like on Earth there's two. It's Russia and somebody else. But like that, I'm sorry, they're based as fuck.
No, there's a third one that has been opened up in Antarctica.
Oh.
There was an international treaty that was put together like I think it was like 10 years ago or something like that, and they started building one. I think it just went into operation.
It's literally an arc if you think about it. Like
Yeah.
it saves certain DNA strains, certain seeds, stuff like that. I'm actually pretty sure there's like animal embryos and sperm and stuff down there too.
Oh yeah, no, they the full fucking smorgasbord. But the point is that this is literally designed to survive taking a nuclear strike. And the fucking Russians cracked it open with a fucking intermediate range ballistic missile. I can only imagine the look on Lloyd Austin's face after he got told what the target was and was like, are they actually gonna fucking try to drop a nuke? And then the fucking kinetic penetrators come down. His face was probably the most glorious fucking thing ever. I would have paid to
change color.
50
Oh,
meters
yeah.
is 150 feet, right?
What?
something
50
like
meters.
that. It's
is
close.
150
It's close.
1 meter is 3.3 feet.
Okay, so that's like almost 200 feet. So the fact that we have munitions that can penetrate like up to like 3 kilometers underground, or like 2 point whatever miles, that's fucking insane. Like, oh man.
Oh no, it's not 3 kilometers. It was only 200 meters that they went underground.
That's about
Yeah.
700
Sorry.
feet.
Yeah, that's only
Yeah, well,
0.2
a kilometer is
kilometer.
1,000 feet.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
but-
kilometers,
Thousand.
1,000 miles. Sorry, 1,000 meters. So
Meters,
it would be
yeah.
0.2 kilometers.
But just the simple fact, 0.2 kilometers.
Yes.
The fact that the motherfucker hit 0.2 kilometers is still fucking insane.
Yes.
And that was through several stories of reinforced concrete.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck that.
Now, you then have the story about secondary explosions. So, and this is something that I want to postulate. I wanna pick and query minds here. Um, so this launch was in response to the Ukrainians launching ballistic missiles, or not ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, at, well, technically ballistic missiles, because technically ATACMS is technically a ballistic missile, but here nor there. But launching missiles at Russia, specifically an airfield in Kursk, and some of the missiles that were used were Storm Shadows. Well, recently, the United Kingdom unloaded all of their Storm Shadows. Given the numbers we have, and what we can kind of roughly estimate that the UK had in storage and given production of the missiles, the UK handed all of their Storm Shadows over to the Ukrainians in order to use them. And so they strike Russia. Russia retaliates by blowing this facility to Kingdom Come. And actually, no, let me rephrase that. They blew it to hell, because there's chunks of it in hell now with how fucking bad that hit. And then you have the story of the secondary explosions. And since then, there hasn't been a Storm Shadow used by the Ukrainians. So, boys, I'm going to ask the question: what do you think they were storing under that factory?
Storm Shadows.
Yeah, munitions.
Storm Shadows.
I was gonna say too, if those were thermal loaded ballistic penetrating missiles, can you imagine the mess after that? Like, I remember after 9/11 happened, there was pools of molten steel for weeks under, in the basements of the towers. They aren't going to be able to go in there and unfuck that housekeeper for months. Like,
no. Those facilities. So I don't know if you've heard of Azovstal, which is the Azovstal Steelworks in Mariupol.
Yeah.
The factory itself is actually completely fucking defunct at this point in time, but the underground workings are perfectly fine. So they literally are just bulldozing the entire factory, and they're just gonna rebuild the steelworks.
Yeah, one other item with the Reznik that hit down there. They managed to get stories from people that lived in the vicinity. They said that upwards of 2 miles away from where that factory was located, the shock from the impact was so great, it cracked the foundations on houses up to 2 kilometers away, and said it felt like a freaking earthquake.
Oh, the immediate area around. So they've cordoned off the immediate area around the factory. So I think they've got like a 2 or 3 mile cordon around the factory. They're not allowing people in to see it. The media has not gotten pictures. There's no information coming out. The only information we have is from that CCTV footage that we saw of the strike, and what people have whispered about from other people. So they do not want any word of the effect on target coming out, and I can guess why.
Yeah.
Because, well, there was a lot of reports of a bunch of French and Polish and English being spoken around that factory the preceding days beforehand. Bro, there were probably so many fucking dead NATO personnel in that fucking factory. It's unfucking real. Like, there's probably corpses that we'll never fucking find just because they've become one with the concrete.
Right.
But on a molecular level.
Yeah. I have seen one overhead photo. I think it's that one guy at Millennium 7 that I came across recently. Did show one kind of poor quality satellite photo of the overhead of that factory, and said it looked like the surface, a lot of the surface buildings were still standing, and all you could really see was like about 5 or 6 what looked like holes going into the ground. around the buildings. It was just like a hollow point rifle bullet hitting a deer or a person. Where you got the little small hole going in, but then you look on the backside, and here's this big foot wide gaping wound where
Ugh.
it tore up everything on the way out.
Okay, so real quick, Stoner's got some questions. Go ahead, bud.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, here's my questions. One, if we have NATO person over there, wouldn't it already be said that NATO's at war with Russia? And two, any American personnel that are over there, would it really be a good idea to bring them back to the States, considering that if we do, they would likely be doing everything they can to escalate this war against Russia?
On that note, on my thing I shared, I'll see if I can get another link for you guys, just super quick. Like in the last 20 hours, there was a couple of dozen American, British, and Canadian troops that were captured in Russia attempting to get up to shenanigans and malarkey. And they're currently facing 30-plus year prison sentences in Russia. And this is being heavily suppressed by Western media. Like I think Putin's been tickled a couple of times, and he's playing really nice. Like, really nice.
Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna share this in the side chat for you guys. This is in Kursk. So, you know, do with that information what you will. So in regards to the NATO personnel, you know, NATO has been at war with the Russians since day one. Basically, the Russians, because the Russians followed international law, and I know people are gonna really hate hearing this, but I believe it's either Article 53 or Article 54 of the UN. I don't remember which one. It's one of those two. Sorry that I just don't fucking remember specific numbers. Pertains with preeminent self-defense. Or with the idea that, hey, you know he's going to attack you, so you attack him first. This precedent was set by the Carolina incident, in which the British, I don't remember who they were attacked by, but the British preemptive self-defense, my bad. The British preempted whoever was trying to attack them. Again, I don't remember the Carolina incident, detail for detail. But they were being they had a group that was trying to attack the ship. The Carolina responds before they actually get attacked, and it set this precedent, which the precedent is, okay, if you know you're about to be attacked, you can attack them before they attack you because it's in your best interest. And that was worked into the UN articles through and through, because people understand, hey, there's going to be evil bastards in the world that try to do devious shit. The problem is that the Europeans do not like when their rules are turned on them. And so the Russians, following international law and not doing the American thing where the Americans would have just gone in and fucking hosed everybody anyways, the Russians went in with a proportional force. They made their statement. They had their negotiations ongoing in Istanbul, and then the British intervened and then completely screwed the situation completely. So NATO has been at war with Russia since go, and any attempt to argue otherwise is hogwash. The fact that the Russians have shown such restraint against NATO in this regard is commendable and shows a level-headedness of Putin that you will not see from any leader in NATO. Period, end of story. I would like to mention the barking chihuahuas of the Baltics. Now, In regards to the second question, what was the second question again? Again, Stoner, I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. My second question. You know what? I forgot what my second question
it was since American troops are in Ukraine, aren't we basically at war with Russia?
No,
Oh.
no. My second question was. Oh yeah, now I remember. My second question was: is these Americans that are already over there fighting Russians? When this is all said and done, would it really be a good idea to bring those guys back home, just in case? I'm thinking that if we do bring them back home, they're going to be doing everything they can to keep on causing trouble with the Russians.
So no, because most of these guys are CIA contractors. So these guys are over there because they're getting paid to be over there. They're it's part of their mission. Like they're on mission for the CIA. They're just contractors. So it's not. It doesn't matter. As soon as they're done with whatever they're doing, they're gonna go home. And they're going to be like, well, I did some work for the CIA. When eventually they'll talk to their grandkids about it and be like, oh, I did some stuff for the CIA when I was younger. In reality, like I basically just say it the way I intend it, and this is my feeling. I don't care if these guys die. I hope they die, because these guys don't deserve to be American citizens. Period. End of fucking story. Because they're pieces of shit. Because the fact that they are willing for money, money, they're doing it for the money. The fact that they are willing to go over there and do what they're doing without any qualms whatsoever, it's like, okay, congratulations, you're a shitty human being. You're just a shitty human being, period in the story. You're literally selling us down the river to the British and to the French simply because you think that, you're going to get some benefit out of it. It's like, no, you're just a mercenary. Congratulations, I don't like you.
Also, that, that first, the two Russian vids, we uploaded it here yesterday. One that Stoner did, I think, that from that Real Reporter guy, which led to the other vid I posted from that one guy that used to be major in the U.S. Army, but then moved back to Russia, Kripivnik.
Yeah.
Basically stated when that guy in the Real Reporter video was interviewing him in his video that every one of those HIMARS or ATACMS launchers that gets taken out, he said that's at least 4 dead Americans, because who the hell do you think is operating those things and launching the missiles?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and that's the thing is, like, again, these guys, they are contracting guys to go over there, and these guys think, like, we saw it with Mariupol. So the events of Mariupol actually created a chain reaction that led to the mass exodus of mercenaries from Ukraine, because they got comfortable. Ukraine, I don't know if you guys know this, Ukraine basically became the destination rejects from the rest of Europe and from the U.S. For example, I know, I believe it was Coffee Magazine, which is Black Rifle Coffee Company, before they shut it down. If I remember correctly, Coffee Magazine interviewed a guy who, his story was that, oh, I lost my kid in a divorce and this and that, and so I decided I wanted to do some traveling, and then, I came over here to Ukraine because I had heard great things, and then I love the people and this, that, and the other. Well, it turns out that actually in reality, somebody kind of dug into his history a little bit. The dude was a woman beater. Dude was a woman beater, got fucking arrested on a DV charge, did some time, and then ran off to Ukraine to get away from the U.S. because he's like, well, I got a DV charge, so can't do anything. But it's like all these foreigners that went to Ukraine over the past, 10 years they're just dejects from the rest of our society. And the guys that are over there now, like the guys in this video I just posted in the side chat, Those guys are contractors. They're the CIA hired them to get over there.
Yeah, well, referring to those dejects, wasn't the second guy who tried to kill Trump, basically one of those as well?
Yeah, basically, like the dude was kind of in that boat,
I just want to shine a note on the FBI and the CIA love finding mentally malleable people, usually with mental disorders and whatnot, to groom into being their Manchurian candidates. Just gonna leave that there.
So the situation with Orezhnik and just the hilarity with it, again, creating a weapon that nobody can actually defend against. Nobody's able to prevent it hitting. It doesn't violate any international law whatsoever to use it. And the only response the Europeans have, and I say the Europeans specifically because the U.S. isn't going to do anything. The U.S. has looked at this situation again. Lloyd Austin had to go find a new pair of pants afterwards. The only response they have is using nuclear weapons. That's the only response they have to this. It's the only one. And it's like...
In that case, the Russians would respond with nuclear weapons of their own.
Yeah, and the nuclear weapons that the Europeans are using, quite a few less of them are going to get through than what the Russians are going to be throwing at them. Hey, as I say, turn Europe into a nature preserve. Anyways.
Moving on from Europe, though, something else happened recently in the world. Syria.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Syria. Syria. So I just need to say this real quick. A little background about myself. I graduated back in 2013. I was planning on going into the military. At first, I was going to be going to the Marine Corps, and then after having a falling out with my my JROTC Master Sergeant, I was like, okay, you know what, Marine Corps, this shit is just fucking ridiculous. My whole thing is, hey, maybe you shouldn't be treating 16-year-olds like shit for literally no fucking reason. Like, I'm sorry, like, okay, yeah, sure, we're like, oh, treat the 18-year-old like shit just because they're 18, and it's like, oh, but the 18-year-old is, oh, you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do this, yada yada. It's like, okay, you might as well treat him as a fucking child at that point. But hey, whatever. But then I decided I was going to go into the Army. And then the events of 9/11, 2013, the attack on Benghazi, occurred. And from that point on, I said, fuck the military. I was like, nope, not happening. So what you end up having is that Syria had technically kicked off 2 years prior. But the information about Syria was it just was very sporadic. There wasn't any good sources of information back in that day. And the only information you were really getting was the whole line that, oh, Bashar al-Assad is this terrible dictator, he's gassing his own people, he's doing this, he's doing that, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. And later it's found, oh, hey, by the way, no, actually he didn't gas his own people. Oh, no, he didn't just kill a bunch of civilians. Oh, hey, by the way, white phosphorus is not banned by the Geneva Convention, even though a lot of people claim it is. It's not. Red phosphorus isn't banned by the Geneva Convention. None of that shit's banned by the Geneva Convention. But so there's this whole amalgamation of bullshit that comes out. And then in 2013, when things reignited for the like third time at that point in time, you started getting some more decent information about it. And, that Benghazi coupled with the situation in Syria, I basically was like, yeah, no, I don't want to go into the military at this point in time because fuck that and fuck your fucking bullshit because holy fuck, this is... Now, if you're... How much do you guys know about Syria and, like, what the overall cause of the conflict was?
No, I do not.
Mitch, do you have any context, Goose?
I remember way back in the day, few years back when I was listening to it. It had to do with concerning potential routing of natural gas pipelines.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I remember that.
Okay, so you're aware of the Turkish angle.
Yeah.
Stoner, go ahead real quick before I continue. Stoner.
I believe he said he was going to have a shower. And
Yeah,
did that.
he literally just messaged saying
Oh.
that he wanted to say something, and now he's not here. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna continue then. So what you end up having with the Syrian conflict is that there's three angles with it. So you have the Turkish angle, which is the gas pipeline. Basically, Turkey wants to connect with Saudi Arabia and do all this shit and yada yada yada. And they basically want to create this pipeline infrastructure that allows pipeline gas from the peninsula to ride up into Turkey, and then Turkey becomes a distribution hub for natural gas and oil into the wider European market. Now, then you have the situation with the Russians. The Russians, now, Bashar al-Assad is not the first to carry his name. Assad Sr., his father, was a friend of the Soviet Union. Syria and the Soviet Union had maintained pretty good relationships across the board for a long time. Bashar al-Assad himself comes into power. Junior comes into power, and he continues building on that relationship. There's a reason why Bashar al-Assad can fly up to fucking Moscow, and Putin is fucking smiling from ear to ear, because this guy's a legitimate friend of Putin's. Now, what you end up having is the Russian angle on this is, okay, we need a friend in this area to balance out all the other problems that can exist in this area, because you have the Black Sea. And what is the only way to get from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean?
Bosphorus Strait, which is controlled by Turkey.
Exactly. Syria was meant to be a balancing factor against Turkey in relation to the Bosphorus. Is basically, okay, well, if Turkey wants to be assholes, they can get pinched by both the Russians and the Syrians at the same time. Mind you, the Russians did try to actually snake out the Greeks from under the British back in the day as well.
Right. So
Because the idea was basically like, hey, we can kind of surround Turkey on multiple sides and basically present the ultimatum of, if you ever try to close the Bosphorus on us, we'll just fucking invade you. Real quick, Stoner actually messaged. What I was going to say is, due to how the politicians treat military members and how the brass acts, it may be a few generations before we get enlistments up. No one wants to be sent to die in Kazakhstan or for the woke progressive mobs. See, here's the thing, is that people want to serve. Like, people want to serve. The enlistment numbers would be fucking phenomenal right now. The problem is that people have realized that the current government is not the government that they want to fight for. There's a reason why people are so hardcore about Trump, because he represents a potential government that people actually want to fight for. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is like, I tell people this all the time. You can talk all this shit about being a libertarian or being an anarchist or being this or that or so on and so forth. You find the right fucking king and you will bend the knee in an instant. Because there is a level of charisma and gravitas that cannot be denied. Given the right leader, men will bend the knee every single fucking day of the week. So that's the thing, is like, at this point in time, like, again, you know, that's kind of irrelevant. People are looking for the right leaders. What were you gonna say, Dale?
I was just gonna say, so maybe this doesn't have to do with it, but when you asked about how what we know about how the conflict started, my understanding was that and this happened in Libya too before. There was supposed to be some pipeline. I think it was the Qatar-Turkey pipeline, but it might have been.
No,
there was
Qatar, Turkey was Syria.
Oh, yeah. There was some pipeline that was going to be going through Syria and Lebanon and going to some oil, like, this was one that was not going from Saudi Arabian oil. It was some other oil pipeline that the US and NATO were opposed to, and then suddenly, you know, all these mysterious quote-unquote moderate rebels appear and try to overthrow the government's building this pipeline.
Well, yeah, to explain that whole thing real quick. It wasn't there was plans to do a North African pipeline, basically.
Right.
But it was OPEC that was leading that. This wasn't like Europe, Turkey, or whatever. It was OPEC was like talking to Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt. They were all talking together about potentially building a pipeline network through the entire North African region in order to connect to the potential Qatar Turkey pipeline.
Right.
So that was a separate proposal that was being thought about on this side as well. So it's kind of like coincidence kind of deal. You know, people start thinking like, okay, this one thing got said and they want to do this, so hey, why don't we do this to add on to that and just make it even more efficient? Now, what you end up having is there's an aspect of in reality, Libya wasn't it wasn't overthrown because of oil. It was actually overthrown because of the dinar. So if you guys don't know, the dinar, or dinari, if you guys, you know, want to use its, you know, original name, it's one of the oldest serving currencies in the fucking world. Wait, Dael,
the Libyan
please.
currency?
What?
And this is the currency they used in Libya?
Well, okay, Dael, do you not know what the denari is?
Wasn't that the Roman currency?
Yes.
Yeah. I know it's also currently the Serbian currency as well.
Yeah, the dinar is considered like the standard currency of Europe, basically. Yeah. But it's considered worthless because there's nothing quote unquote backing it, which is bullshit. Because in the case of Libya, they were planning on redoing the dinar and issuing a gold-backed dinar. And that pissed off the U.S. quite a bit.
Right.
And Clinton didn't like that, and so Clinton decided to unalive Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thus the famous saying, we came, we saw, he died.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to Syria. So what you end up having is that, you know, there's the strategic angle for the Russians. And then you have the European/US angle. Mm-hmm. And the European/US angle is, it's aligned with Turkey, but it's not truly aligned with Turkey in the sense of, we just want to build the pipeline. It's aligned with Turkey of, we want to build the pipeline so we can give control of the oil fields in Syria to the Europeans. Which, by the way, European and U.S. aligned forces control the oil fields in Syria right now. Funny enough. Those happen to be the Kurds, and I hope there's a reason why Kurdistan doesn't exist, because Korokulu and Akulu they got crushed by the Ottomans. If you guys don't know, Akulu and Korokulu, those are the ancient Kurdish, or not ancient, you know, it was like 600 years ago that they were crushed, but it was the nomadic kingdoms that the Kurds originally are genesised from. And these two kingdoms had been wiped out, you know, by the Ottomans, like basically going into the 1500s. So simply put, there's these three major angles when it comes to Syria, and Syria is the poor man caught in the middle. Now, unfortunately, what you have is that you have the start of the support of the FSA or the Free Syrian Army, which later we find out is just an extension of fucking ISIS, basically.
Yep.
You have the rise of ISIS, you have Al Qaeda involved, and you have all this bullshit. Eventually, shit kind of gets to a stable point. So in 2015, when shit really popped off, and the Russians and the Americans basically had to put their differences aside and say, okay, we need to handle this. And they're trying to handle it. This actually, I think, kind of leads to the election of Donald Trump. I think people got so pissed at foreign policy blunders, it was unfucking real. And so Donald Trump gets elected. He takes the cuffs off of the military and says, finish ISIS, get rid of it. By the time 2017 rolls around, ISIS is basically done.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Syria kind of enters a somewhat stable or a minor stability phase. Now, of course, there's been minor conflict. You know, the jihadists will attack the government. The government will attack the Kurds. The Kurds will attack the government. The government will attack the Syrians. The Syrians will attack the Kurds, and back and forth, all this other bullshit. Now,
that's my comment earlier about I didn't have the latest scorecard for who was fighting who there.
yeah, well, okay, so here's the current layout of things going on. Actually, let me see if I can find that real quick, because I do believe I have a map that I shared earlier.
Interesting.
And if I don't have that map, I will send you guys a video. The Good Times, Bad Times. If you guys know the channel, they had a decent video that they did. It wasn't a great video, but it was a decent video. It was better than other videos I've seen so far.
Right. While you're searching, do you think that the creation of ISIS was an intentional thing, or was this just a result of idiots not knowing that Islamists go burr?
It's a result of Islamists go burr. Like, they did the same thing with Al Qaeda.
Right.
They the fucking, let me put it to you this way. The Brits, they did the same thing with the Bolsheviks. They did the same thing with, okay, here's the video. If you just want to go in post.
Sorry, we overlapped it.
Yeah.
If you
I quickly posted as well that the video of British mercenaries and other mercenaries who were captured in the last 20 hours in Russia trying to get up to shenanigans and malarkey.
Yep.
Yeah, and like again, they didn't execute them. They're like, you guys are going to fucking jail.
After you get paraded in front of the TV cameras.
Weren't they talking about how they would just be executing mercenaries earlier?
I think that they're a valuable bargaining chip. If the West tries to spin any media play, then they'll just be like, you speak in front of camera.
No, actually, what it is that they're using them as hostages.
Oh.
Dude, it's fucking great, because it's like there are so many Russians. Like, the Russian government keeps telling Russians, don't travel to the US, don't travel to Europe. You will be arrested. They will arrest you for any reason whatsoever. It's funny, like, I'm gonna point this out. They freaked out about the fucking basketball player getting arrested because she had weed.
Right.
And everybody was like, oh my god, they're just taking hostages. That was projection.
Yeah.
Because the US does that.
Don't traffic drugs across a border. It's very bad. It's a very stupid thing to do. Not just a Russian border, anybody. Don't get caught trying to bring drugs into any country. You're gonna go to jail for a very long time.
Yeah. And on top of that, you've got, like, situation United Kingdom now. You tweak the wrong thing on X, and you're going to have the police knocking on your door.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Hey, real quick.
I've
Real
rode
quick.
the British police a few times. It was fun.
Real quick, I just wanna mention something real quick. This is really funny. So somebody shares a list of games. So it's like Elon Musk is starting an AI game studio to make games great again. This dude, in the last 5 years, we've had Doom Eternal, okay, decent game. Alan Wake 2, garbage. Animal Well, garbage. It Takes Two, mostly garbage. Elden Ring, good game. Mullet Mad Jack, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Buckshot Roulette, okay, I'm sorry. Buckshot Roulette is nothing more than a fucking party game, or if you're a fucking child obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's.
Agreed.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm sorry, but Rebirth was fun, but at the same time it didn't feel like Final Fantasy. Like, it was kind of weird. God of War Ragnarok. Okay, I'm sorry. God of War Ragnarok was the biggest piece of shit of the God of War series ever. I'm sorry. Kratos was not Kratos. Kratos was Kratos. His balls were missing. It was bad. It was bad. Baldur's Gate 3, I'm sorry. You can say it's a great game. I don't want to play it because I don't want to see a fucking vampire and a bear have sex.
Yeah.
Sorry. Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know that one. Neon White. I don't know that one. Astro Bot. Seriously.
Tears of the Kingdom is a newest Zelda game.
Oh, Tears of the Kingdom is the Zelda game. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll give him that. It was half decent. It wasn't good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't. Or I shouldn't say it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. And then Hi-Fi Rush, really? Come on. Literally, if this is the quality of gamer that we have in the modern day, I am scared for the future.
It's at least the quality of game journalist.
I'm actually a huge fan. So, the new Awoken director basically said, "Fuck you, chuds! Like, we're just gonna make the game as woke as hell and all this and that," and like immense backlash to the point that Elon Musk complained to this Microsoft CEO, and the Microsoft CEO stepped into the studio and was like, "You guys need to fix this." So, if you've been following woke games like Dragon Age, Troon Guard, and all that stuff,
unfortunately,
it's anything full of woke stuff, top scars, whatever, LGBTQ flags. It doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Like the media, they can put $200 million in the advertising campaign, and
No
it
one
might
buys it.
sell 1,000 coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Nature
Like
is the
Suicide
best.
Squad, massive tank.
Real quick.
Evening, gentlemen. What did I miss?
Not
Nothing,
much.
just recording right now.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so real quick, reeling it back in so we don't get too far off topic. Because we already segued like that. So if you look at this map, it gives you a pretty good understanding of what's going on. So you've got, the Syrian military maintains control of the majority of the country. Now everybody's like, oh, they're supported by the Iranians, they're supported by Hezbollah, so on and so forth, yada yada yada. And of course, because it's within their interest. Because, oh, by the way, ISIS tried to infiltrate Lebanon back in the day, and Hezbollah had to kick the shit out of ISIS in order to be able to fucking make sure that it didn't happen. So yeah, I understand why Hezbollah is helping. I understand why Iran is helping. It's in their interest. Now, then you have the blue. So if you're looking at the map that I'm referencing specifically, so that's the red areas, the Syrian military area. Now there's also the areas. There's like these 5 black dots that are referencing specific areas where basically they've interned Islamists, jihadis, into these regions, and basically they're just internment camps. They're not really internment camps, but they're disarmed zones. And basically these areas have been told, okay, look, you can live, you can do your thing, just stay here, or else we're gonna bomb the shit out of you. Hold on. Speaking of Ragnarok, what's the deal with modern military members being so obsessed with Valhalla, the Norse Guards? Still,
May I interject? No, you can say
They're-
something, but
Just know
They're
we are
f***ed.
recording, so if you do say something, you will be
they're
recorded.
fat.
Yeah.
Anyways,
no, but I think the reason why Norse mythology and other pantheons are so popular in this day and age is because the stories of all these deities are
Cool.
riddled with stories of like war and triumph and like loss and like fighting for a real noble cause, and a lot of people don't really have a purpose, and therefore I guess they are trying to find meaning in these stories, whether or not if you actually believe that these are real deities, like if you're a Norse pagan, for example, or not. Kitty, shut up. um yeah, that's just my opinion. I think that people are just trying to find meaning anywhere that they can.
Right. In my opinion, it's just LARPing for badasses, kind of like anime conventions and crosplaying is LARPing for
Christ is king. Christ is king. He is risen.
yes.
Oh,
So-
indeed, without a doubt.
Based.
So then you have the blue areas. Those are the Kurdish controlled areas, and then you have the white area, which is the jihadis. That's the true ISIS remnants that are still supported by the Turks. Yeah. By the way, the Turks are supporting ISIS. By the way, like.
Yes.
Wait, I got a meme for this. Like, the CIA made Al Qaeda, and then they lost control of that, so they made ISIS to fight Al Qaeda, and then they lost control of that.
Shish kebab. That's all I'm saying. Shish kebab. Anyways, but the point is that then you have the FSA, the Free Syrian Army, which is also or the Free Syrian National Army, or whatever the fuck it's called. Then you have that portion, which is not a lot. It's not part of ISIS, but it's aligned with ISIS, and they're also supported by the Turks. So basically, the Turks are trying to retake control of Syria. I wonder why. Constantinople must be retaken, boys. Constantinople must be retaken.
Yes.
I agree. How often do you guys think of the Roman Empire?
Oh God.
I rather think of
Damn
Here we
thing.
go.
I rather think of the Byzantine Empire, honestly.
Byzantine's based.
Yes.
Love it.
But the point is the situation is across the board that these different factions are finally coming to a head. The Free Syrian Army is attacking. The jihadis are on the march. The Kurds have kind of been told by the U.S. and the Russians, look, we'll bomb you out of existence, and we will literally just get rid of you people if you fuck around. The Kurds are kind of holding position right. The Kurds are more interested in fighting the FSA because the Kurds want to push the Turks. I almost called them the Ottomans, for good reasons. They want to push the Ottomans out of this fucking bullshit. So the fact of the matter is, it's an absolute fucking shit show. So right now we've got the nightmare scenario that's currently going on with the whole jihadis marching into Aleppo, and there's this whole thing where the Syrians they're just retreating, they're just running away, blah blah blah. Basically, they're trying to they're trying to make comparisons to the Iraqi military when ISIS first pushed into Mosul and everything.
Are they just dragging them out? Are they just trying to lead them out of their supplies and logistics? Like, drag them into their strategic depth.
The Russians and Syrians are bombing the shit out of their supply lines right now. They wanted to pull them into the open.
Right.
And that's the thing is, like, I would not be surprised to find out that they're gonna bomb the shit out of them for a couple days and then proceed to push out and start retaking territory. And no, the Iraqis weren't shit soldiers. They were actually pretty good soldiers. The problem with the Iraqis was that they became over reliant on air support. When they didn't have air support anymore, they buckled.
That sounds familiar.
No, I wonder. Wait, Kak, what do you mean? You're holding your tongue.
I am not saying words that you know that I would say in an everyday conversation.
Do these words start with the letter F?
One of them does.
All right.
There's also N and C.
Okay. Never mind. We don't want to make Dale have to edit a shit ton.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Let's just say that I'm not like the other girls. I'm more
yeah.
I have a giant cock.
I love Goose. I love you. Anyways, but no. So the fact of the matter is that you have all these factions that are vying for control. The situation in Aleppo again. It's hilarious for me that everybody's like, oh my god, they're gonna march in and they're gonna take Assad's head and they're gonna take Damascus, and I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're fucking not. Tiger Force is already, and I know that's not its name anymore. It's got a different name now.
What was
But
the Tiger Force?
Tiger Force is basically the Syrian Special Forces.
Oh.
Basically, it was the elite division of the Syrian military, and it was one of the most prominent units during the Civil War that was going around and just fucking shit up. Regular army units basically had to be put in positions and left there, whereas Tiger Force was fully autonomous. But the fact of the matter is I can see it from a mile away. It's like, no, this is the impetus for them to finally just kick the shit out of the Turks. Which I'm taking a gander at the current situation. There are reports that the Turks are attacking the Russians. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that tells me that this might be something a little, involved with Ukraine, potentially.
Could be.
And if Turkey wants to fuck around and find out, they can find out real good. Because I don't think Russia is going to fucking allow it to fucking happen. You're talking about a nation that is ready to fuck on anybody who decides. I would love to watch a couple Hazels come down on fucking Turkish heads, because I'm like, nope.
Yes.
At this point in time, you don't get to have a country.
Remove
Can
kebab.
can we go save the recipe for Turkish delight first?
So now here's the really fun part about this whole situation with Syria right now. Again, we are talking about ISIS. We're talking about the Islamic State. And there are people in the US, in fucking Europe, fucking Australia, shit like that are literally celebrating ISIS marching into Aleppo. The same group of people who are known for beheading videos, these motherfuckers are celebrating it.
Yes.
And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Not only beheading videos, but like they'd lock people in cages and set the cages on fire.
Oh yeah.
Mostly
These are
Christians, but yeah.
Yes, these are 14th century savages.
Oh, by the way, that was actually a point. Great fucking point about that. By the way, there was a guy, and I replied to him somewhere. I can't. The fucking post is probably hidden at this point in time. But there are people that are pointing out, like, if Assad's government falls, because mind you, Assad is a fucking moderate. He is not this fucking weird dictator that everybody wants to try to claim it as. Again, basically they treat Assad the same way they treat fucking Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un, the guy who is like, oh, you stole from the people, I kill you now. Like, that's pretty fucking moderate. When it's like, oh, hey, you committed treason against the state. That's pretty fucking moderate, to be honest. You might not like it. You might not like the idea of banksters getting the death penalty. Sorry. But the point is, Assad doesn't just do wild-ass shit and fucking just murder people. Never has, never will. He's loved by his people pretty fucking hardcore. The only people that don't love him are the Kurds and people that came from outside of Syria.
Wait, you mean to tell me they lied about him using chemical weapons on his own people?
Oh,
You
yeah.
mean they lied about the weapons of mass destruction?
The U.S. intelligence agencies lied to us? What?
The federal government and their agencies lie to the civilians?
What?
No,
No.
never in a million years.
Oh yeah, no, and I don't remember somebody. I was listening to somebody. I think it was Tom Luongo. Actually, funny enough, Tom mentioned something, and he mentioned a probable source for the quote unquote chemical weapons that were used in Ukraine, and I'm like, well, okay. Because I'm pretty sure he blamed it on the Brits or something like that. I don't remember, but it was just funny because it was like, well, shit, that sounds like it might be a thing. But the point is that it's like Assad is this moderate fucking dude that they just shovel all this bullshit on, and then they proceed to be like, "Ooh, you're a Nazi for supporting these people." I'm like, I'm sorry that I don't agree with destabilizing the fucking world. What happened to fucking Westphalia, motherfuckers?
Haven't we noticed, though, that using those buzzwords is something you just throw at, like, somebody you disagree with? Oh, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi. Like, there's no weight or validity to these claims. It's just something
I
that
take it as a
low-vibrational,
compliment.
simple-minded people throw at what they don't like, because that's what the TV tells them to do.
Oh, so
That's what
it's,
their
Take it
teachers
as a
told them to do.
compliment.
it's
Dael.
interesting that you mentioned Westphalia because I actually just today saw the fucking Ukraine bots mentioning like the new Westphalia, which I'm not sure
What
if
is
you.
that? I'm sorry.
I believe he's
West-
referring to the Peace of Westphalia, right?
Yes. So the Peace of Westphalia, basically it was a treaty that and a doctrine that was adopted where basically sovereign borders were basically considered fixed. It was this concept that sovereign border, basically you couldn't take a piece of a country, you had to take the whole country or none at all. That was kind of the concept. It was birthed out of the situation with the Holy Roman Empire and so on and so forth and yada yada yada. But the point being is that sovereign borders could not change, and mind you, the sovereign borders are not about the nation. They're not about the government. They're about the people. So, like, for example, our borders as the United States is not about the U.S. federal government. It's about the American people. England's borders are different. England's sovereign borders are different than Scotland's sovereign borders and Ireland's sovereign borders, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And basically Westphalia it basically established an all or nothing mentality when it comes to military conquest. But the point is these motherfuckers, they love to talk about Westphalia and sovereign borders and all this bullshit, and then immediately just want to be like, oh, well, I was told by the big man on the screen that man over there was banned, so I'm gonna go ahead and root for his destruction. Oh, put him on a lamppost. And I'm sorry, but that voice, I don't know where that came from. I just went with it.
It was a rather fitting voice.
I can do it better.
Well, of course you can. You actually have the estrogen.
It was a very good Ryan Macbeth impression.
Sugar in your tank. Hey, Warhound, I didn't know you had a little sugar in your tank.
Yeah, it was an excellent
I
Ryan
definitely
Macbeth
do.
impression.
Ryan Macbeth impression.
Anyways,
Well, I'm not gonna say he's gay, but I will say if he does have a girlfriend,
You're
I bet
definitely
she's
gay.
her. Can I please finish? Okay. Dale, edit
I
out
was
the last few minutes and let me say what I was gonna say, please.
Stoner, just fucking say it.
I'm messing with him. I promise. I'm just messing with him.
Stoner, just fucking speak.
Hey. I'm not gonna say that Ryan Macbeth is gay, But I will say that his girlfriend is a cover.
A beard, if you will.
But yeah, so the whole thing being is that, you know, this situation in Syria is it's literally just it's the same old playbook, you know. And again, I maintain the opinion that the Turks are just, they're like, oh hey, we can reestablish the empire, let's take Syria again. It's kind of where my mentality is at this point in time. They're just, that's all they want, is that they want to retake Syria.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm not gonna cry when you get bombed back into the Stone Age, motherfuckers. I am gonna have to tell the Russians, don't touch Constantinople, because if you touch Constantinople, I might have to throw hands.
Hey, who knows? The
I
Russians
honestly-
may try to reconquer it.
I really don't think that Putin doesn't seem like the type of man to order the destruction of archaeological sites.
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't strike me as that kind of person.
Well, I mean, if Putin were to take Constantinople, they wouldn't be they would be returning the Hagia Sophia back into a fucking church.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, I don't... He seems far too cultured and well-spoken to be so barbaric.
He's not gonna bomb the biggest Orthodox church in the world.
No, oh fuck no. Never.
No, not at all. All right, what time are we at, Dale?
So far we have done 1 hour and 31 minutes and 40 seconds.
All right, cool.
Are you aiming for 2 hours?
So, let's move on to the next topic, because I think we kind of covered it well enough. People are retarded, and you're rooting for ISIS. Congratulations! You want to call me a garbage human being for rooting for Russia? You're rooting for ISIS. I think I know. I think I know who's more superior in this argument.
Yes.
May I say something before we move on?
Go ahead.
All these people that are rooting for ISIS and stuff, we need to keep this in mind. The current year elites in the West and their leftoid sycophants, what is the one religion that they absolutely hate?
Christianity.
Christians.
Yep.
So,
For some
who
reason,
do
though,
you think-
Catholicism's
so who-
free.
Catholics are still Christian, though.
Yeah.
No.
So who do you think they're going to support when it comes to murdering and persecuting innocent Christians?
Muslims and Jews.
Yep.
But
No,
here's
I'll
my
have to
question,
edit
though.
out that
What's the
Jews
deal
part
with
for YouTube.
What's the deal with the hate against the Christians? I mean, if it comes to evangelicals and Protestants,
No, okay. Let me
They
explain
worship
it.
Satan.
No. Let me explain it very simply. It's not that they hate Christians. It's that they need scapegoats. And the financiers of many of these movements happen to come from a particular group of people that they do not like Christians.
Yes.
And so in order to secure more funding, they have to emulate their financiers, because their financiers are so livid about the fact that the Christians are a thing.
Yes. And they've been that livid for about 2,000 years now.
And the fun part is that the Muslims, funny enough, are our friends. The problem is
In
that
a weird roundabout way, yeah.
Yeah.
the problem is
How
that
so?
They
because
also, this goes into they believe Jesus was a prophet, then from
Yeah,
God,
and
and
it's
a few of our apostles, they also
yeah,
have in their
Muslim
literature.
eschatology has Jesus as a prophet of God. He's not the son of God, he's a prophet of God.
But him, Moses, they
Right.
still Abraham, like they still hold them as
Yeah, yeah.
religious, sacred
Let's
individuals in
ju-
their
yeah,
scripture.
let's just say that Muslims don't believe Jesus is in hell boiling in excrement.
Yeah.
Unlike some other people.
Yeah, they don't believe a certain opinion of Mary either.
Yes.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're alluding to.
Yeah,
I think
no,
we all
and
We can't
and
say it
now-
exactly because of YouTube, but
there's an even more important facet of it, is they believe in the reincarnation.
yes.
Now, for the average person out there, they might not understand how important that is. But there are several sects of quote-unquote Christianity that do not believe in the reincarnation.
You mean the or not reincarnation, him coming back to life, right?
Or resurrection. My bad.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
wrong word. The Muslims believe in the resurrection. There are several sects of Christianity that do not believe in the resurrection. And oh, by the way, those same sects of Christianity tend to be where the worst of us go.
Yes.
I need to make the thing here, like, Christianity is not the same as evangelical Christianity.
They're
Like
different
that's
things.
two completely different
That's
fucking beasts.
that's Judeo-Christianity.
Yeah, that's
Or even,
yeah.
Yeah, I was a part
That's
of
Ben
that. I know
Shapiro's
what it's
favorite
like.
Christianity.
Eh.
Now
Do you
here's
not
the
recommend?
here's the thing, is the Muslims are our friend. The problem is again, the financiers need us to be hated, because if Christianity and Islam, because I think the friendship between Christianity and Islam will result in the Reformation of Islam. I believe the Reformation hinges on that friendship.
Okay, here's my question. If Christianity and Islam are friends, then why did the Ottoman Empire kidnap Christian children, turn them into janissaries, brainwash them into Islam, and then also why did they put a special tax on non-Muslims in their territory?
I can
Honestly,
I can
that's worth its own
actually
episode.
I can actually answer the tax
No,
one
no,
is
no. Real quick, Dael,
yeah.
stop. I agree with Goose. We will do an Ottoman episode.
fair enough.
Like
Because
that's its own
the
episode.
Ottomans-
There's a lot to unpack there.
The Ottomans are a very particular group of people.
All right.
Mind you, there's a reason why the Ottomans had to fight their own Muslim brothers in
Yes.
order to secure their dominance.
So
The Mamelukes weren't wrong.
yeah. So the thing I just wanted to say is not an Ottoman thing. This is just a Muslim, specifically the tax. So in Sharia law, there are two taxes. There's a tax Muslims have to pay, which is 10% of their earnings to to the state or the church or whatever. Then there's the
It's
non-Muslim. Yeah.
It's 10% of their crops.
Oh yeah. Then there's the non-Muslim tax, which is also 10%. So they're not taxing non-Muslims any. It's
Yeah,
the same
no, it's
tax,
true.
right? It's just it's called a different thing because one are Muslim. Like the taxes basically will allow you to stay here. What?
No, the only reason why they're called two different things is because it literally translates to Muslim tax. The other one translates to non-Muslim tax.
Yeah, but it's the same rate.
It's how the language works.
Yeah,
The Islamic
throw just a
language.
quick
Remember,
little
it has
thing
its own language.
yeah.
In Judaism, it's illegal to charge interest to people who practice Judaism.
Yeah, not
Just
to
as
those
how in Islam, it's illegal to charge interest, like usury. How do you pronounce that?
Usury.
U.S.
User.
Usury.
Usury is like illegal in their culture and against their religion.
Though it is pronounced usury, I generally stick a J there in front of it.
And usury is actually, funny enough, the only reason why usury is acceptable within Christian cultures is because of tithing.
Yeah.
And
Technically,
it's,
yes.
and it's because remember, who was the main ones that gave loans back in the day for the Christian faith? Within Christian worlds. It was the church.
Right.
And the church, what they would do is they would charge the interest as part of giving the money out, and that money would then cover your tithes for the year, or for however long. It could be like 5 years it takes you to repay the loan, and the interest would cover your tithes in order to prevent you from starving.
And that's back when the state and the church were kind of in bed together.
Well, so, fun fact, separation of church and state does not mean church stays out of government. It means the government stays out of church.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
That's yep. Yep.
Anyways, so real quick, let's finish this episode up. We're not going to get to the topic because other shit's going on. Let's talk about Georgia for a second.
The country or the state?
The country.
Ooh.
Oh, with their
What's
election,
going on in
right?
Georgia?
So Georgia is currently fucking burning, basically.
They're trying to color revolution it.
Yes, they're trying to color revolution it.
Wait. Is this like the CIA is trying to instill another puppet
So
dictator?
they
revolutionize?
just lost. The CIA candidate just lost the election, and now they're trying to they're trying to Maidan.
Well, they're doing a coup.
They're
doing a coup.
Maidaning it.
Yeah.
They're trying to.
So Tbilisi is currently packed with a protest.
The renter protesters.
So what is going on is that it's not really pro-Russian, mind you. The government that just got elected is not pro-Russian, it's anti-EU.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
the Georgia Dream Party.
The previous government was pro-EU. So the current government's anti-EU, and their whole thing is like, okay, we don't want to be aggravating to our neighbor who's already beaten our asses once.
Right.
Mind you, if you go on Google Maps, which Dael, flash it up on Google Maps so the people can see the dotted lines. Mm-hmm. Those dotted lines represent areas where the Russians marched in and told the Georgians, don't fuck around or you're gonna find out. These are areas that the Georgian government has no control over because of this pro-EU bullshit. So right now you got the whole bullshit going on in Tbilisi, and them trying to effectively overthrow a duly elected government. Mind you, this government was duly elected, no problems whatsoever, and then they're immediately trying to coup the government.
That sounds like Argentina. Or no, not Argentina, Peru. And Venezuela. And Cuba.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil. Oh my god, the patterns. The patterns, Mason! What do they mean?
Yeah, what's complicating things in Georgia is, while the majority of the government and their parliament is got voted in controlled by the Georgia Dream Party, which is basically the anti-EU party, the president is part of the pro-EU party, and she's the one that was calling the president of the country is calling on the people to overthrow the government.
Yeah, it's the president trying to usurp power from the parliament, which I'm loving because I'm like, this whole democracy thing isn't really working out, is it?
I heard the air quotes, democracy.
Yeah.
Tommy, no kidding.
Our democracy.
I didn't even do the democracy. I didn't even do the air quotes, by the way. I just said the air quotes.
Oh.
The emphasis. But that's the fact of the matter, is that, and no, Keck, I'm not a fucking commie. Fuck off. Anyways.
I'm messing with you. Calm down.
You
So
are.
emotional.
I'm emotional when I talk about these things. I'm passionate.
Uh-huh.
I'm passionate.
Uh-huh.
Anyways.
So feminine, Jesus.
But the fact of the matter is that it's like, okay, you're literally calling for the people, you're stirring them up into this frenzy, and then you're calling upon them to overthrow their duly elected parliament. I'm sorry, but this smells as sus as it can get.
They're trying to stop the steal.
I'm trying to stop the steal.
Varg, check memes for a second.
Alright. Nice.
Hey guys, look at side chat. Stoner, you're such a cheesy motherfucker, and I love you. Can we just interject the fiddle part of the devil went down to Georgia? Can we just interject that right here?
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh, Stoner, that's hilarious.
Dude, that's funny.
I actually choked on some spit there. That was good.
But yeah,
And
no.
we're not talking about Sherman in this case.
Yeah. Oh god, Sherman. I fucking hate his guts. Dude, we need to do a dedicated Civil War episode just from that perspective. Fuck that guy. God, we need I need to make a list. Like, I just need to do a list up of, like, things we need to do for that. But yeah, so overall, the situation in Tbilisi, it's, like, again, if they just hold the line. Like, that's the thing, is that the Parliament just holds the fucking line, and they tell the EU to go fuck themselves, because here's the great part. The EU comes out and is like, oh, well, all you have to do is hold a new election. And here's the requirements. You have to hold the new election. It has to be observed by foreign observers, and the counting has to be done by a third party.
Interesting.
I'm like, oh, interesting. I wonder what you're trying to do.
They could just say no, right?
Oh yeah, no, they just like, honestly speaking, if I were the current parliament, I would be immediately contacting the military and being like, okay, look, we don't want to go to war. We don't want to be in a war which we will lose. Get your asses down here and arrest the president. I would be calling on the military to arrest the president. Because it's like, no, she's literally trying to usurp the power of the parliament. Like, this is King Charles levels of bullshit. And if you didn't get that joke, I'm disappointed in you. And
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it, Chrome.
Sorry.
Yeah. I've made many a Charles II meme myself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a reason why he lost his head.
Yes.
But yeah, no, the whole fucking situation, like, again, and it's really ironic. This all fucking happens literally after the election. It's like they decided, okay, we're not gonna have an October surprise, we're gonna have a fucking November and December surprise, and hell, if we can fucking do it, we're gonna do a January surprise. It's like, fucking Christ. I do believe we're gonna get a Christmas surprise, though.
Probably.
Like Santa?
No, the Christmas supply, the Christmas surprise is going to be a massive explosion in southern London, or in South London, that they're then going to blame on the Russians.
Do you think there will be a New Year's surprise?
Oh God, you know, all of us,
like
all
a
of it.
pregnancy surprise?
What?
Do you think they're gonna try to assassinate Trump again, and that's gonna be one of the surprises?
Oh, I have a feeling there's gonna be several attempts.
Honestly, my money is on Project Bluebeam. If I was to actually pick anything,
fair
I'm gonna say Project Bluebeam.
What the fuck are you referring to?
Based Project Bluebeam. One of many possible things. No one actually knows what Project Bluebeam is, but it is suspected to be including a fake alien invasion with holograms, a fake return of Jesus with holograms, and basically something very big and very fake and very gay with holograms.
Exactly. Thank you. Honestly, that's my money right now.
Aliens,
Yes.
I'm curious.
Wow.
What?
After we hang up, I'll send you a video link from the Y-Files explaining what Project Bluebeam is. But
I don't, honestly speaking, I don't care. I do not care. I just don't.
Hey, let's just say for the sake of the argument, though.
Georgia, I did send you a link to a Twitter post with some idiot claiming that we never promised to not expand NATO eastward.
Oh yes, we did.
Oh my God.
When there's actual videos on the internet that shows the actual printed copy of the frickin' agreement.
Oh my God. Whatever, I don't care. These idiots can just continue being idiots. It's cool. I just don't care at this point in time.
But no,
if they
basically-
if they want to die, that's fine. I don't care.
Just to quickly
Because-
explain it back though, think of Project Bluebeam as just a really big false flag, like a global false
Okay,
flag.
cool.
It's not
Cool.
left
That's
versus
all-
right
that's
or
all
east
I
versus
need.
west.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah, I'd just advise Trump to avoid riding in convertibles for the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanna tie this episode up. With a bit of a thing, you know, talking about one of the most glorious things that has occurred, one of the most glorious events in our lives. We fucking got a Rothschild, ladies and gentlemen.
Base.
Oh yeah, did you like that Reaper meme I sent you a couple of days ago?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I like that. I like that a lot.
And for those
Like that.
who will just be listening in on the audio, apparently billionaire Will Rothschild just died in a mysterious house fire. So
God
Yep.
is good.
yes, God is
Yep.
good.
God
God
is good.
Nature
Amen
is
to
God is
that.
good.
Nature is healing.
Yep.
Jersey.
Karma's a bitch, and it doesn't matter how deep underground in your secret little bunker you think you are. God snaps his fingers and see you tomorrow, bud.
Yeah.
He sees all. He knows all.
And it makes me very happy. It makes me very, very happy. And it's like, oh well, okay, now we just got to get the rest of the family.
Yep.
And then, Kay, was it the old Soros or the old Rothschild that he's gone through like 8 or 9 pig hearts at this point or something? Like he had some
It
biomed
was
firm
a
make him a
Rothschild.
sleeve.
Ew.
Okay, this guy went through and he finally had so whoever make this sleeve that will pump heart blood forever. So your actual organic heart has like this fucking condom around it that pumps blood, and that heart can fail, but it'll still pump blood through your system. Like we have that technology specifically because that guy doesn't want to die.
Don't we also? Isn't he that guy who's also always receiving transfusions of like the blood of children?
Yep.
He
Yep.
just buys.
Well,
he
it's
just
plasma.
buys blood. Yeah, he just buys blood
Plasma.
from children, from poor children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's a good place to leave this one off.
Yeah.
Kind of schizo post. So, fuck it. Let's get out of here.
All right. Talk to you all later.